It is May the 6th, 2002. It is 5:30 in the morning and I'm at Corby for this year's Pole Fair.
The Corby Pole Fair is a tradition which dates back long before living memory. It's held on a Whit Monday, once every 20 years. The bells of the old parish church chime from 5 in the morning to waken the inhabitants for the festivities of the day. And at 6 a.m, all roads into Corby Old Village are sealed by these barricades. No vehicles may enter the area after this time, and all foot travellers must pay a toll in the form of the coin of the realm, namely £1, to enter the village. The penalty for not doing so is imprisonment in the stocks. One of the most unusual traditions of the Pole Fair is that the oldest living resident known to be born in the village, the rector of the church, and the chairman of the council or mayor are carried around in chairs mounted on poles. The Pole Fair is thought to date back to 1585, when Queen Elizabeth I granted a charter to the villagers of Corby, giving them 6 very important rights, which was seen as a great boon to a rural community. The charter is traditionally read 3 times at 3 different locations in the village, starting at the unearthly hour of 6 a.m. beside the church of St. John the Baptist.
Greeting! We have inspected the enrolment of certain letters patent of confirmation of our predecessor, Elizabeth, late Queen of England, bearing date in the 27th year of her reign, made and granted to the men and tenants of the manor of Corby, and remaining on record in our Court of Chancery of these words. Greeting. Whereas, according to the custom hitherto obtained and used in our Kingdom of England, the men and tenants of ancient domain of the Crown of England are, and ought to be, quit of toll, pannage, murage and passage throughout the whole Kingdom of England.
Now that may not mean much to you, but nearly 420 years ago it was pretty important. It exempted villagers from paying pannage, a tax paid by local people for the right to feed their pigs on the acorns at Rockingham Forest.
God save the Queen! God save the Queen!
Nor did they have to pay murage, money which had been paid towards the upkeep of walls around the estate of Rockingham Castle. The villagers of Corby were also given freedom of passage to travel throughout England without paying the tolls which were so frequently demanded, rather like modern-day airport taxes. And there's more, but we'll come to that later. Meanwhile, led by the Corby Pole Fair Queen and her attendants, the mayor, the rector and the oldest native resident are carried to the White Hart, where the ceremony will be repeated. It's believed that fairs have been held in Corby since the year 1226, when King Henry III granted the village the right to hold a market and 2 annual fairs. Merchants from all around the country visited these and had to pay a toll to the lord of the manor for their attendance. If they refused to pay, they would find themselves confined to the stocks for the day. And it's thought that that's how the stocks came to be connected with the pole fairs.
Well, the punishment fits the crime and I didn't pay my toll into the Pole Fair, so I'm in the stocks. The only problem now is that somebody else has to pay me out. So have we got any money? Has anybody got any money? No! Money! Help me! It's raining!
Well, now we've got Chuck in the stocks, I think we might as well leave him there all day, don't you? Meanwhile, the mayor, eldest resident and the rector arrive at the Jam, following their refreshments at the White Hart, and ready to read the charter once again. Incidentally, the custom of using chairs with poles is thought to date back to the time when the Danes settled in the area. It was their custom to make anybody who'd broken the law ride through the village lashed to a stang or pole, while the residents threw rotten vegetables and other such unsavoury objects at them. No missiles today, however, just the strains of the Corby Silver Band as they prepare us for the third and final reading of the Charter. And here's an interesting revelation for Corby residents.
The men and tenants of ancient domain of the Crown aforesaid have always hitherto, from the time of memory, runneth not to the contrary, been accustomed to be quit from contribution to the expense of the knights coming to our Parliament, or that of our progenitors, formerly kings of England, for the community of the commonality of the same kingdom.
Translated into modern day English, that means that the people of Corby are exempted from all government taxes. No VAT, no council tax, no poll tax, no PAYE and no rates. But don't get too excited. I'm afraid it was repealed in 1920. So you'd better not go feeding your pigs the acorns in Rockingham Forest either.
As is the custom at these poll fairs, we're going to begin now with a short service here at the Cardigan Arms. Some of you will have sheets. The hymns we're going to sing are All Things Bright and Beautiful. I'm sure there should have been a verse about water in there somewhere. I'd like to join with Lil, the oldest resident. Thank you. We're in Corby Village with our Mayor and Chairman of the Council, Betty, and myself to thank those poor people who had to carry us through the street.
So the first to go into the stocks at the 2002 poll fair are the civic dignitaries. You may have noticed that the Corby stocks are unique in that they have 5 leg holes. One theory is that most of the vagrants who were caught only had 1 leg, but it's more probable that 5 people at a time were imprisoned in the stocks by 1 leg each, even though this made the period of incarceration intimate, to say the least. In Victorian times, modesty forbade women to show their ankles, and up until 1902, the ladies were required to put their arm into the leg holes of the stocks in the interests of modesty and public decency. Haven't times changed in the last century?
Mike, it's the poll fair. You've opened it, you've read the charter. How are you feeling after all that?
First of all, it's got to be said, with the weather we've got today, wet. It was wonderful reading the charter, wonderful being here. I think the bit I'm going to remember is when the chair cracked that I was being carried on though. Which was quite nice, because it meant that they got one of the older 1982 chairs out, so it links it to the previous poll fair.
Back and forth, this charter's, well, the poll fair in fact has been going for a very long time, 1585 I believe?
Yes, that's right. It was originally granted by Elizabeth I to the men and tenants of Corby. It was rescinded by Oliver Cromwell and then reinstated by King Charles II.
Excellent. Of course, it all kind of centralises around a pole.
It does, yes. Traditionally, the pole was used to carry the people on rather than chairs between the 3 points that the charter was read from.
So you wouldn't wanted to have been carried on a pole today, though, would you, really?
No, I think I'd have slipped off it more than anything else,
But
actually, yes.
you may have a chance to climb up it a bit later.
Yes, there is a greasy pole in the charter field, I'm sure you'll see it later on, with some meat on the very top of it, and the idea is to try and shin up that pole and get hold of the piece of meat.
I'm probably joined by the 3 most important ladies here today. Lillian, the oldest resident, Betty, the mayor, and Jackie, who's helped put all this together. So, Lillian, oldest resident, you're in the stocks. How are you feeling?
Very well, thank you.
Very good. Not a little wet, then?
Not too bad, thank you.
Excellent. Now, Betty, you live in the village. You're the mayor of Corby and it's poll year. How are you feeling?
Ecstatic.
Ecstatic. You're looking very good in your finery today.
Thank you very much.
And, Jackie, you're all done up like like somebody from the Middle Ages. I was going to say dog's dinner. That would be terribly rude of me. How are you feeling?
Absolutely great. My adrenaline is running, and it's got to keep going until 1 tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning.
I've been up since 4.
No, obviously, the viewers won't know this. It's 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
Are you going in for a quick beer now?
Yes. Yes, I'm going to the pub first.
Just to
get
warm your
warmed
cock up.
up, yes. And then down to the church.
Excellent. Well, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I hope somebody pays you out the stocks. Unfortunately, it won't be me. Well, Corby Pole Fair only happens every 20 years, and to mark this special occasion, the pub's open at 6 o'clock. Let's go in for a swift one.
And Chuck wasn't the only one with that idea. It had barely turned 7 a.m. and already the Cardigan Arms was heaving. Amongst its clientele, numbered civic dignitaries, beating off the chill of the cold, rainy Pole Fair morning, the young, the not quite so young, the completely bemused, and of course Chuck, rapidly working his way through a pint of Guinness.
Cheers! Well, it's 7:15 in the morning, and this is the first of probably one of many pubs I'm going to be visiting today. We're at Corby Pole Fair in Corby Village.
We're at Corby Pole Fair and you're watching TV!
We're at Corby Pole Fair, but be back after the break.